Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football, taking a look at a 2023 NFL mock draft for the Indianapolis Colts. This is one of the more fun teams to at least have the conversation about what this 2023 NFL draft looks like for the Colts. Before we get into it, one, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. The support throughout NFL draft season has absolutely been awesome. And then two, we're talking quarterback of the future. We want to hear from the Colts fans what you guys are thinking. I mean, this is how I think it's going to play out, right? CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. If the Cardinals stay there, it's going to be Will Anderson. And then you have your choice of either Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. Dill, I'm going to open it up to you, though, here. You're here picking four for the Colts. What is your feeling for this quarterback class here?
My opinion with these two remaining on the board is you got to trade back or take Jalen Carter or trade up. To me, I don't think.
Well, where are you trading up? The Panthers aren't giving up that first overall pick.
Said they would shop it. I mean, if you can go up and get it, I don't think it's crazy to make the call and see if you can do it. But my opinion is if you take Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, I just think there's way too much downside for both of them. I mean, I think the drop-off is so big from Stroud and Young, who I think are generationally good, to these two. I don't see how you can take them at number 4.
And this is such a tough sell. I mean, as Bills fans and going through 20 years of just really, really bad football, it's really hard to sit here and say, tank for 2024. The quarterback class is really good. It's 12 months away. You don't know what that quarterback class is going to look like. It looks good. Caleb Williams, Drake May.
Well, there's two freak of natures. So.
Yeah, but you also don't know what's going to happen. It's just 12 months away, whether they get hurt, whether the Colts play better than you think. You're not going to go out there purposely lose games. I think you have to take a quarterback here. And what's growing on me right now, especially for the Colts in their situation, Anthony Richardson. I think both guys, there's a lot to like in terms of how good they can be at the next level. You've heard a lot of rumors that the Colts really do like Will Levis and what he brings as a leader to that locker room. Anthony Richardson, though, is different. We haven't seen a quarterback as physically gifted as him than Cam Newton coming out of Auburn. And I think that just makes his floor that much higher. People say, okay, he misses a lot of throws. You got to clean up the mechanics. You got to clean up the accuracy. But you also see a lot of very impressive throws that not a lot of quarterbacks in this class can make. The talent is there. He just needs some refining. He's a project.
The problem with the floor talk, though, is the floor was quite low at Florida because that wasn't a very good offense in college. I mean, you see guys who you could make an argument they're not going to work out totally in the pros. They're not good enough throwers. I mean, I think you obviously heard that with Lamar Jackson, but he was such a different athlete, such a special player.
I think Anthony Richardson's just about as different as any other quarterback.
He wasn't that dominant in college, though.
Turn on the film of him. He was playing hero ball. They don't beat Utah week 1 without Anthony Richardson. I mean, there were points.
You also saw games where they really couldn't move it.
So the consistency. That being said, I think the wide receiver play at Florida was
bad.
Was bad. And so Anthony Richardson's a guy that if you take here, you are not expecting to be a playoff contender in 2023. But this is a guy that I don't think you get many chances to get a quarterback on your roster that is as gifted as Anthony Richardson. I think you take the flyer here. Again, you don't know when you're going to be picking next year. You have the 4th overall pick. You have 2 quarterbacks that are extremely talented. My lean person is Anthony Richardson. That being said, I'll just talk a little bit about Will Levis too. From what I've seen on the film is Will Levis looked so good in 2021. And then he loses offensive coordinator. He loses his leading receiver. He loses 4 guys from that offensive line. And then playing banged up, throwing to 2 true freshmen in the transfer. New offensive coordinator. I don't know how much the poor play Will Levis had in 2022 was on him not being a good prospect as him just not being surrounded by the stuff that he needed.
But if you listen to this channel, my argument on that front is it ought not to matter when you're in college. If you're going to get taken as the number 4 overall pick in the draft, you need to elevate everyone. I don't think Bryce Young was playing with the.
Here's an argument, though. Anthony Richardson, look at when they played without Anthony Richardson in the bowl game against Oregon State. That's a 3-9 team at best if Anthony Richardson's not playing football for them.
But they were barely 500 with it. It's they weren't a very good team. They weren't a great offense. So yes, the ceiling is incredibly high. It's probably by far the highest in this whole draft class. but I don't totally agree that the floor is not a little low because they just weren't a productive enough offense at Florida. And at the end of the day, that a good chunk of that has to fall on him if you're going to take him at 4. And I think he's really an appropriate pick for like that 9-10. But like when you got a guy like Jalen Carter on the board, that pick is super valuable. That's a dominant football player. It's hard for me to, I guess, take either of those two quarterbacks just because I think the downside's too big when you have a guy in Jalen Carter who I think could be a number 1 draft pick in a given year.
Yeah. I think when you draft quarterbacks, especially in the top 5, you're drafting for the ceiling. You see so many teams in quarterback purgatory, and like Kirk Cousins for Minnesota. Like, you're going to make the playoffs. You're never going to win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. If Anthony Richardson even reaches 80% of what he can do and what he can be as a quarterback at the next level, I think he's well worth the pick. And I think that's why you go with a guy like Anthony Richardson. We don't necessarily agree, but we'll take Anthony Richardson just because if you're taking a quarterback, which I think a lot of Colts fans agree, and golly, if the Colts take Anthony Richardson, I'm watching every Colts game because that is going to be a show whenever Anthony Richardson on the field.
I don't disagree. I think Anthony Richardson's awesome. I think it does change it a little bit that the 2 next year are going to be really good, I think. And you're passing up on Jalen Carter, who I think is generationally good. But I'll leave it at that.
All right, so taking a look at this 35th overall pick, I think you need to take a tackle now because you want to address the tackle position. I think there's a big time drop off after DeJuan Jones, Darnell Wright. I don't value Matthew Bergeron as much, but like once you get to Jalen Duncan, Cody Mock, I think there's a drop off. Darnell Wright's going to play right tackle and Dill. Bernie Ryman, a guy from Central Michigan last year, we were very high on. I'm still high on. I just think he needed to adjust. I mean, moving up from MAC football at Central Michigan to the NFL is a big step up. I think he needed some adjustment. I love the potential of you got Bernie Ryman playing left tackle, and then Darnell Wright, one of our favorite tackles in this class at 35 overall. You're seeing him mocked in the top 15. If Darnell Wright's here at 35, I think you smash that pick.
Yeah, and I love because I think you're way sleeping on Bergeron. I think if the Colts didn't take Ryman last year and took it more of a right tackle power player, I'm easily taking Bergeron. I think in terms of clean technique in the pass game, as good as anyone in this draft, as athletic as anyone in this draft. But you're right. He's not the power
Darnell Wright
is. I think given what the Colts have with Bernie Ryman at left, I think I'm with you. Darnell Wright should be the pick here.
And especially with if you draft Anthony Richardson, what do you want to do? You want to run the football. Darnell Wright, about as good as it comes from a tackle, moving bodies off the line of scrimmage, working up to double teams. This dude has so much power in his hands. Taking a look at 79 overall now, a lot of different ways you could go. Taking a look at kind of what the Colts have done in free agency, what their roster's looking like. You could do a lot of different things. My pick here is just the best like available player because, again, you're not necessarily trying to win and get to the playoffs. You want to win, but you're probably not winning a Super Bowl in 2023. Start building this roster. Continue to get some more talent into this franchise. Taking a look at some of the guys. Tanner McKee would be a very interesting pick for the Colts if we pass on Anthony Richardson, by the way. But a guy like Carl Brooks, one of my favorite players available. I think you could look at a cornerback like Eli Ricks as well. Any position that you're kind of leaning towards. Eli Ricks would be my pick.
I'm with you, and I know you're an Eli Ricks guy. You think he's first round player, and
he's a first round talent.
He's first round talent. If he played all year at Alabama, he's right up there with any corner. You got a big, really athletic, smooth player. I'm with that pick. I think this is way too low for him. I like these other guys we got, but I mean, Eli Ricks, he's first round player for me.
And you're attacking good talent at premium positions, right? Like cornerback, offensive tackle, quarterback. Those are 3 of the most important positions in football, and you're getting damn good players. Michael Wilson sitting here at 106. If you want to get some help around Anthony Richardson, I think Michael Wilson would be a phenomenal pick here.
Yeah, and that'll be I don't think the wideout play was quite good enough in the Colts. It was hard to tell. I think Pittman's a really solid player, but I do think you probably give him a little more. I mean, the Colts, they could probably go a lot of places, frankly. I don't think it was like a team that had the
100%.
But I mean,
Michael Wilson's about when you talk about wide receivers, and I feel like what they did wrong with like a Paris Campbell pick is just not an NFL polished wide receiver. You picked a really good athlete coming out of Ohio State who wasn't really a polished wide receiver. Michael Wilson, not the biggest, not the strongest, but he has a good frame at 6'2", 210 pounds. His releases off the line of scrimmage, like if you watch the Senior Bowl clips, because again, the big knock on this kid is just hasn't played enough football the last couple of years. Only 4 games. I mean, literally has played less than 15 games in the last 3 seasons. When he's on the field, he's extremely productive, but he is one of the more NFL ready wide receivers in terms of I can get separation early and often, use my frame to catch the football, get some yards after the catch. Some of these other guys, Jaden Reed, more of just I'm a very good athlete. Trey Palmer, vertical threat. I don't think there's many well-rounded wide receivers like Michael Wilson in this class.
It hurts to miss Tank Dell here. I think Tank Dell, that's my guy. I think in round 4, that's a steal. And yeah, obviously we missed him by 3 picks, but I'm good with Michael Wilson. I think that
Tank Dell, because Tank Dell's a quarterback's best friend. I'm going to create separation extremely early. I'm going to be really good after the catch. I think Michael Wilson can do a lot of the same things, but Tank Dell's short area quickness, different. Mm-hmm. All right, pick Moro Jomo. Does it have to be? I mean, I know you're
jumps off the field for me. I mean, I'm a big KJ Henry fan too.
We're both big fans. I just think Moro Jomo's different with being like 285-pound dude that can pick up and hold up to double teams the way he does in the run game, but also the burst and bend off the line of scrimmage. Like we said from the jump after this Anthony Richardson pick, we're getting best player available. Either KJ Henry or Moro Jomo would be 2 phenomenal options here.
And at the end of the day, you need guys who can rush the pass around the inside. You see how disruptive teams are. And then you got teams like the Bills, obviously our team. You see them play like they just don't have anyone in the middle to create any havoc. And that it's just teams pick you apart if you can't do it. I mean, you see how good the Chiefs are with guys like Chris Jones and
I think Hargraves for the Eagles, like showing you. I mean, we're not going to comp anyone to Aaron Donald because he's kind of on a different level. But guys like Fletcher Cox, Chris Jones, guys who can disrupt pockets from the inside, very, very big. Moro Jomo, a 17.3% pass rush win rate. That's different.
I also think they lie about his weight. I think he's way bigger than they say.
He at least plays bigger.
He's not 280 pounds. He's
at least plays bigger. All right, now we're into day 3, and again, I think that it's the same applies. Best player available, you keep hammering that. Zach Kuntz would be really. I mean, you're looking for another target for Anthony Richardson. 6'8", was banged up last year, but was phenomenal in 2021. I think that'd be an interesting take. Bryce Ford Wheaton's another guy I like. Jalen Redmond, if you don't get.
I'm a Jalen Redmond fan. I think this might be a tad early for him, frankly. I mean, it's tough. He's a good player. I don't know if this is exactly the spot for him, but
I will go get Zach Kuntz. I want to continue. Like, if you're going to take Anthony Richardson, you got to surround him with some guys. And Zach Kuntz, who is the cat from Virginia? Really, really big tight end. Jelani Woods. So they already have Jelani Woods. So I don't know if you're going to take. Yes, sir. Though we haven't addressed the edge position. I know you're a big Abdullah
fan. I'm a Yaya Diaby guy, not Yasser.
Okay. Yaya Diaby, a physical freak.
That's my guy. I think he's I almost don't get why he's not talked about a little like day 2 guy. I feel like a big, powerful athlete. I think he's like pretty flexible, smooth for that size, and he plays really aggressive. I'm a big fan of his game.
Bet on the traits. There's I'm going to go back to Louisville here and get one of my favorite guys in this class, Caleb Chandler. He was a guy that you saw him getting mocked in first round 10 in this season. A little bit of an undersized cat, but he's athletic. He's powerful. I don't think he had the best film. Ricky Stromberg's another guy that I would really like. But
I do like Stromberg. But I don't the rest of this group.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan.
Let's go get. I'm looking at their depth chart. I
think Stromberg can play both. I think he's a good, big enough guy, but good enough athlete. I like his game. I thought he had a really good 2021 season. I feel like I didn't notice as much.
I'm with that because I do think he's big enough to play guard. Yeah, let's go Ricky Stromberg. And he's probably going to be a center. And we talk about plug and play dudes in day 3. It's really hard to find. I think Ricky Stromberg is one of those guys. They started 3 straight years for Arkansas. They're known for developing offensive linemen extremely well. I think that'd make a lot of sense. Are we thinking about, I mean, if you're not bringing back John Taylor, you just want to get another running back in the room, Dale, Eric Gray. Especially as like a pass
makes sense anyway, because I think, he's not a guy who's probably going to take the John Taylor workload, but you also probably want to take a little off John. I mean, he played so much for the Colts. I give him a little bit of a dynamic guy to change the pace.
Eric Gray's different.
He's also too good to be here.
Yeah, me and you definitely value Eric, and it's just a deep running back class. So in day 3, you're gonna have some nice options at that running back spot. 236. This is the peak. Just go get a guy that you really like here. Mohamed Diabate from Utah jumping out at me for sure.
Let me see the linebackers real quick. I thought I saw.
Take a look at the backers. And again, I love taking backers day 3.
Ooh, Diabate had a really good year a year ago at Florida.
Florida, yeah. And he's just small. But I mean,
he's thin, for sure.
I wish you fill out the frame. Like, what are you doing being 6'4", 220 at backer? Like, can you just put on some weight for me one time? D Winter's another guy.
He's dynamic. I mean, he'll. I don't think he's going to be a great player. I honestly think Diabate's ceiling's way higher, but I think you're pretty sure it's going to just be a really solid kind of number 2 or 3.
And he's a guy that I think the ceiling. You said it best. The ceiling's high in the sense that like really long arms. He's very athletic. Can go sideline to sideline. That would make a lot of sense. How does PFF grade us out here? And again, a lot of day 3 picks that you might just couple and package up to maybe move up in this draft class. A+ for Anthony Richardson. Give it to me, PFF. Darnell Wright. They're not high on Darnell Wright. I love Darnell Wright.
No, I know. I mean, they're sleeping on him. They're sleeping on Rex.
Michael Wilson was a good pick. I really like these day 3 picks. Michael Wilson, Moro Jomo, Yaya Diaby. Yaya Diaby, very similar to a guy like Kwity Paye, just tested like an absolute freak. Ricky Stromberg, pretty solid, A-. And again, the big take is Anthony Richardson, and I would love to hear what the Colts fans have to say about that.
I am too, because like I'm trying to put myself in the shoes.
I was gonna say, Dill, you're the Bills, and they're in the same spot.
I'm clamoring for Richardson. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Put my hat on of like all these teams that have missed high at quarterback, like the Trubiskys of the world, and how much they set their franchises back.
But you have to keep swinging.
I know you do have to swing. JP
the Bills took a swing on Josh Allen, and I think it's a lazy comp, Anthony Richardson and Josh Allen, but Josh Allen was about just as a project as Anthony Richardson was.
Yep.
And it worked out. So if you can get the right guys around him, if you feel confident in your ability to develop a quarterback like Anthony Richardson has a higher ceiling than Josh Allen. I sound crazy saying that, but in terms of 100%. Arm strength and like athletic ability, like we haven't seen a quarterback like Anthony Richardson in a very, very long time. Thinking Cam Newton era. Again, appreciate the support that the Colts fans that have for us. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.